Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today's webinar, Enhancing Automating Construction Operations with Microsoft 365. My name is Alon Danowski. I am the Marketing Coordinator for Withum's Construction Niche. Today's program will be presented by Adam Levinthan, Sherry Good, and Lou Sandor. Before I begin, I just have a few housekeeping notes. So materials for today's presentation can be found in the toolbar located to the right of your screen. Also at the bottom of the toolbar, you'll see a question box. All questions pertaining to webinar content will be answered at the end. We will do our best to address them. We will be emailing out a copy of the recording and the slide deck after the presentation. And finally, once the webinar is over, there'll be a pop-up asking you to complete a survey of today's webinar. Please take a moment to complete it. It is our way of being able to provide you with the best and most relevant information possible. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Lou Sandor.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I guess I didn't get the email to wear my black Withum shirt today. So I put on my tie and my shirt and barely fit into it, and my pants are as tight as they can be. So if I look a little out of the norm, it's because of the COVID-19, 19 pounds. Yeah, I'm happy to present today. This is our second part. Part one we had on August 14th, time flies. And we presented with Adam Levinthan and Sherry Good from our digital group, and welcome them back again. And my name is Lou Sandor, as Alana had said, and I run the construction niche at Withum Smith & Brown. In part one on August 14th, we kind of just wanted to let the group know about what's happening in the construction industry. There's a tremendous amount of investment in technology going on. And I'm quite sure everybody sees it in their email daily with all the software companies, the private equity, the acquisitions. There's a big movement in construction and technology. And it's also integrating into human resources now and also the supply chain. So what's happening is a lot of these companies, as they've gotten larger, or you're working with certain other organizations like a PSE&G or other organizations that are controlling a lot of the work, you are being integrated in the supply chain, the manufacturing process, and on-site assembly and the design and engineering of projects. So it's pretty obvious that that connecting people, data, and content is becoming very critical in today's construction arena. And that's kind of what we touched on in the first part one. Also, what we covered in part one is what you own in Microsoft 365. It's pretty amazing. And after the first webinar, a lot of people were surprised to see what is included in Microsoft 365. And we touched base on, it's a very secure platform. You've got OneDrive, you've got Teams, you've got SharePoint, you've got Power BI, you've got third-party apps attaching on, scheduling, and whiteboarding. So there's a lot there, and I just got to warn everybody, you know, we are still in kind of the infancy stages. Withum has embraced the Microsoft 365 platform, from our phones to our Teams to communication on jobs and audits. A lot of our clients are seeing us use it, and every day it's getting better. Believe me, it's a work in process. But with Microsoft and its hold on the professional business environment, I think you have to be at least knowledgeable about where it's going, and that's what we're here for today. Part two is a deeper dive into the Microsoft 365, focusing on automation of the estimation process, mobile forms, and we're going to show you a little bit how the mobile forms works. I think a lot of people are a little surprised to see the ability to do that, and project dashboards, which we are already doing with some of our customers. So I'll turn it over to Adam, and thank you very much for participating today.
Thanks, Lou. And just a quick introduction. Adam Levinthan, and I am with our Microsoft Focus Advisory Group, working on building intranets and project collaboration. And you know, I'm a practice manager assisting our clients in doing that. Worked with several construction and architecture organizations up and down the eastern seaboard, and I'm what is known as a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, working directly with the community, speaking nationally, and also working with Microsoft directly, so it's pretty fun. And even more experience in the construction field is Sherry. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Sherry Good. I am a lead consultant with Witham, also in the Witham digital space with Adam. Prior to coming on to Witham, I had 8 years at a general contracting firm here in the DC metro area, where I worked both in the interior fit out on the construction side and also in the information technology group as a project analyst, where I supported our construction team members in their IT efforts. I have over 12 years working in technical and functional teams, especially in the Microsoft space, most commonly with SharePoint. I train Microsoft 365 power users, so love to come in and show folks what they can do with Microsoft 365. Also certified Scrum Master for those of you guys that are looking at Agile project management. That may not touch most of you guys in construction, but there is possibilities there. And a fun fact, when I'm not doing all this technical stuff, I am out tending to my garden and preparing meals because I love to cook. So thanks, Adam.
My pleasure, and she's definitely won some cook-offs when we had them in the office before. So good cooking. Enough about us. We're going to ask you guys some quick questions in the polls so we can get an idea of who is out there, and we can customize the presentation just a little bit. So the first one is, what is your biggest concern about digitizing your operation? I know there could be multiples, but we wanted to try to bring in as much focus as we can. It looks like we're winning with losing the personal touch. Now we're slowly catching up with other areas. I'd be interested, there is the chat. If there are anything that is greatly different in your personal experience, just put it in that chat field and we'll be able to look at that. We'll give this a few more seconds. So details falling through the cracks, definitely why we like the forms and the dashboards. We are a little disappointed that no one selected missing the free coffee and bagels. Hopefully at least that rang true, and you don't mind our little sense of humor that's gonna come through. All right, so that's the first one, and there the biggest was falling through the information, falling through the cracks, losing the personal touch, and then how to change those established routines. The next question, really affects how you can do business, and we're really curious to understand, how do you connect in the field, because that could change how you interact and what systems that you're using. So whether you're using a corporate phone, whether people are allowed to use their personal phones, you have a hotspot in the trailer, whether you have a direct connection in the trailer, or if you're not in a urban or rural setting using satellite. I actually used to do work with information over satellites, and that's a very fun experience. So we're about tied here with personal and corporate phone, and actually that's really interesting to see, and that's one of the advantages of the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, is that you can install your corporate applications on personal phones and secure all of the corporate information and not let it, both for the person, myself, Witham we do this. Witham doesn't have access to any of my personal information, and they can remove all of our corporate information at any time. But it looks like corporate phone led the way with a few people accessing through the trailer and the hotspot. Well, thanks so much for sharing that, and we will continue on with that information. So Lou had mentioned it a little bit, and how we see the world is through a lens of people, data, and content. So we want to make sure that your people are able to be as productive as possible. We want to make sure that you're gathering data to make the best decisions And your business is your content, whether that is concrete that you're delivering, whether it's the process that you make sure everything is right time. And then we support those three things with different types of technology. And today, Sherry and I mentioned it to you, we are from the Microsoft 365 focus organization, but Witham also has security and ERP and major other technology focus areas. And Lou, as he had mentioned, is the niche leader who has many of experience. Then we're actually, I didn't change the number here, but this is the third poll, which is asking specifically about Microsoft 365. And so, most of the people in the previous session were already on Office 365, Microsoft 365 in one way or the other. So we didn't put the not using it. Again, if you are not using it, either throw that into the chat or even the question would be okay. The typical scenario, and we're still assisting people, and especially in the early days of the pandemic, are a lot of people have been using email, but they weren't in any other of the systems, and that there are, then we jump-started dozens of organizations into Teams, and why that helps is to do it the right way, to establish governance in the beginning. But we are working now with other organizations who jumped into it and now are pulling things back and organizing in a better fashion so that it will be able to work long-term. Okay, great. And we have one person considering, so yeah, please, there'll be contact information, happy to help you with that, or go back if you didn't see the first session. Thanks all for seeing this. So almost everyone is doing email. Next is meetings, which makes perfect sense. And then collaboration. A lot of items were announced. Teams will be changing monthly. There is an annual Microsoft event called Ignite, which was held at the end of last month, and then it'll actually be held again in March, where some of the major features have been announced. So it's really exciting. And then I see someone is implementing soon. That's what we do. So if we can assist you in any way, please let us know. All right. So I mean, most people are familiar. And as Lou had mentioned, I just wanted to remind you that when you're buying into Microsoft 365, which is a different license, you're getting pieces, all the pieces of the cloud of Microsoft, and it can even include your desktop. And why this is important, because for right now, in remote work, you could be running a virtual desktop. So from any device, you could actually access your apps that might still need to be hosted, in your office, but you can access them securely as if you were sitting in the office from anywhere, from even an iPad, a phone, or what have you. So I bring that up, just the value that you're getting for that person who's considering it. Once you pay that subscription, you're getting all these different tools. And to say it in a different way, we look at how it supports your business. It supports your business with security. One of the major things, if you're already in Microsoft 365, and I apologize if you attended the other session too, I'll repeat myself, is to turn on multi-factor authentication immediately. We're talked about Teams and the communication and collaboration tools with SharePoint. We'll talk today about extending, automating, and then measuring the work that you're doing. So that's how it supports your business. It's not necessarily just about the individual tools, but all of it put together into an ecosystem. Then, of course, we talk about the new normal, the world we're in today, and how we look at the construction industry is in 3 different types of user bases. So this is a little review from the previous session, but it's important in context of the 3 items that we're going to mainly discuss here. So there are information workers, there are executives, directors, back office, and also again in the chat, please feel free to to agree or disagree with these 3 columns, and if there are more nuances, always looking to hear different perspectives. But they're typically right now, they're able to work from home. All of their information is digitized. They can be fully remote. Then you have project staff, owners, architects, engineers that can't just be remote and have to touch and feel and measure and work with the frontline job site workers. And that's the final area, which is the job site workers, the people who are on site that are doing the work, who are fixing the cabinets, painting the walls, pouring the concrete. They need to be on site all the time. And I love Sherry had found this conversation that it's not clear, right? That there's conversation all the time across all of the different types of workers, all of the professionals who are supporting the construction industry. And that's one of the reasons that we do believe that centralizing your information in one ecosystem in Microsoft 365 really helps you because you're saving information in one place, you know where the source of truth is. And to show you that, I'm going to pass off to Sherry, and we're going to be switching screens here so that she can talk about forms.
Thanks, Adam, and give me just 1 second to choose my screen here.
And we're seeing, of course, it never works right the first time.
No, this is the trouble with multiple screens here. Yeah. But if you were on the first webinar back in August, we touched on this very briefly, that Microsoft 365 offers several methods of digitizing paper documents, one being using Microsoft Forms to transform something as simple as a daily report from a Excel or paper format to a form that users can interface with it both on their computer or both on a mobile device. So today we'll be going through a deeper dive of actually taking you through how to create this daily report. Digitally gathering information. So like I said, in Microsoft 365, there's always multiple ways of doing something. You can create through custom development. This may take on some technical staff within your organization to custom develop a form. You don't need to go down this rabbit hole unless you have some super talented programmers or technical staff within your organization. But knowing my background of working in the construction industry, generally your IT departments are generally small. So you probably want to go in the direction of doing maybe some lightweight development with Power Apps. Power Apps is a more advanced form than I will be creating today. That gives you the ability to link some of the information that you're providing in your form, maybe to a database, maybe to Excel. A good case study, if you go out on Google or Bing and search Power Apps, you'll see some great case studies of how Toyota was using Power Apps to create a form that their technicians, the people that are working on their cars, are going and checking through the merchandise to find if they to see if there was any aftermarket parts. So they were using their mobile device to go through this digital form in Power Apps to check to see what was on the car versus what was in their inventory to see if that part would work with their cars. And then what I'm going to show you today is using Microsoft Forms to create an easy form. You can utilize forms.microsoft.com to do this. If your organization has come on to Microsoft 365, but maybe you're not using Teams yet, you can go to forms.microsoft.com and create the same form that I'm going to show you today. Or you can add the Forms app to the Microsoft Teams channel and create that form directly within Teams. So best option for those of you guys that are already on Teams is to go and use Microsoft Teams to integrate your new form. You can create it, you can collaborate on it, and then you can obviously share it to collect that information with your project team. So I'm going to exit out of my screen here and bring us over to my Teams environment. So this is a Teams demo environment, but doesn't look any different than what you guys would see if you set up your Teams in your organization. So I'm not going to go too much down describing what the Teams does, but with each team, you get a different channel. By default, there's a general channel that's always set up when you create a new team, and then you could break this out. If this was, say, your interior fit out division, you could have interior fit out division here, a general channel where you want to share information amongst the entire group, and then you can break it out by projects that are being run within the interior fit out division. So just something that I'm throwing off the cuff here if you guys want to have some ideas of how you can set your teams up. To set my form up, what I want to do is come up to the top of the channel here where the tabs are in the Teams channel and click the plus sign. And that's going to give me an option to choose all these different apps. And a lot of these apps come with Microsoft 365. There's no additional charge here. So you can see there's a lot of different tabs that you can use to integrate within your team. But for today, we're going to choose on the Forms tab or click on the Forms tab. Two options here. So for those that, and this will be at the end of creating your form, if you have an existing form that you want to add to your team, you can click on Add Existing Form and you can choose that form. You can choose whether you want to collect responses. So I'm adding this to my team for others to come in and actually actively fill out the form. But what I want to do today is I want to create a shared form that my team can see the results. So I'm going to just call this job site daily report. Other thing, get about that collaboration here. Microsoft always gives you the option to post to the channel when you're creating a new form or adding a new app. So you always want to leave this checked, and you don't have to essentially create your form and then go back and notify everyone in the team channel that the form is created. You'll see that it's added here. I'm going to click Save. And in a second here, it's going to come up with a blank job site daily report. So quickly before I go into creating a few options here, this is always what you're going to see here. If you wanted to rename the name of the report, you can do that here. You can add a brief description of what this report or what this form is about. So that's going to be your questions tab. If you click on responses, once these responses start to come in, they'll actually start to populate here. And this is where the Power BI data analytics kind of falls in here. So it's going to show you how many responses you have. It's going to show you the average time it took someone to complete. It's going to show you whether or not this form is active. Then you have this other option here is that all form data comes into an Excel sheet on the back end, which is saved into Teams, where you can do even more with your data. So if you are one of those folks that want to do Power BI and do some cool dashboards, and you want to see how often people are reporting on their daily reports or what information is being reported in a daily report, you can use Excel as your backend and connect it to Power BI to do some real cool reporting here. Up in the top, we have a preview button. I'll show you how you can preview your form while you're actually creating it to see how it looks or how users can interact. Theme is something that you barely use, but if you guys don't have any governance in place at your organization, someone can create a form and put some type of cool theme or background. If you don't want green, you can change it to a different color.
Is there a pumpkin there? I think we need to use the pumpkin. It's about that time of year.
Was that a pumpkin?
It's too small. All right, sorry.
Okay. Well, like I said, you have themes if you want to utilize that. Share is going to be something that you want to get familiar with. This is how you shared your form outside of the Teams channel. So say you want to share, there's other members within the construction project that are filling out the daily report, but may not be Microsoft 365 user. Maybe they're using a personal email address. Maybe you have some consultants coming in, or for whatever reason you want to share this form with somebody else. You're going to use the share button here, and it's going to give you a link that you can copy and either put into email. It's going to give you some embed code for those of you guys that are real savvy. So say you created a project page on your intranet and you want to embed the code to that daily report on that intranet page, you can do that. You can share, get a link to view and edit. So say you created this here, but I want to send it to Adam, and hey, Adam, what do you think about this daily report? And let him collaborate on it. You can share and share that link with others. So share gives you that ability to share this form outside of Teams. And then more, this is some other neat information. Definitely knowing from the construction background, if you have bilingual staff that English may not be their first language, you have the ability to change this form to give it the primary language of English, but maybe you want to add Spanish, maybe you want to add Korean, or any other language that your staff may be more frequent in. You can add additional languages to this, and what Microsoft will do will translate that form in another language for the user to fill that form out. So that's definitely a great option for those of you guys who have bilingual staff. You can print the form. I don't know why you want to kill more trees. It's already in the system, but for those that want to print it, you have that ability to do that as well. And then there's some more settings here where you can choose if you only want to allow people within your organization to fill out the form, or anyone with the link can fill that form out. That's when I said you can take that link from the share option and forward that to an email. You can set this form to accept responses, be active, or turn the responses off. You can set start or end date. So say this is just a period of time that you want this to collect the data on this form. You have the ability to really tweak the start and end times on this form. And then notification. Do you want to notify folks once they've filled out this form? Do you want to send a copy of that form or a copy of the link to the form that they filled out to them in email? You can really do some really great things with these forms here, all within Teams, all quick settings. You don't have to know a whole lot about it. But let's get into the fun part here and create a daily report. I'm only going to create a few questions here just to take you through how the simplicity of it, and then like they do on the cooking shows, I'll pull out the completed daily report form and kind of show you what it looks like, the user experience here. But like I said, very easy to do. I've done numerous forms here. We have folks in other groups within Witham that are creating quick forms. We have somebody doing a book club that they're doing a quick sign up form. So it's very user friendly, very intuitive. When you click the plus sign or the add new, it's going to give you the first 4 most commonly used options for creating a question. So do you want this question to be multi-choice? Do you want it to be a text field? Do you want to rate something, or are we giving them a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Do we need to put the date in of our daily report? If we click the more questions options here, you get some more advanced options where you could rank, where maybe you want to do some file uploads. Maybe you want someone to upload pictures that they've taken during their day. And then there's sections. I use sections quite frequently. It just helps with organization of my daily report or any type of form. And it also gives you the ability to branch questions based on what sections those questions fall in. So if someone answered yes or no to a previous question, do I want to take them to another set of questions based on that yes or no answer? So I'm just going to do text right now and just say, what observer name. So this is just giving the ability for someone to put in their name here. The options you get here, long answer or short answer, well, I know unless somebody has a name with a really long name or a lot of letters in it, I'm going to keep this to the short answer and I won't toggle long answer. I definitely want to know who is filling out the report. So I'm going to make this required. So that means that they cannot move on to the next question without answering. If I click the ellipses button, again, I can do a subtitle, I can add branching. That's when you do these sections here. If I, based on what they put in, I want them to go somewhere else. If I want to copy this question, I can. If I made a mistake, I can hit delete. And as I add questions here, I'm going to say, what's the date? Today's, let's say I don't, okay, well, it kind of makes more sense that the date go above the observer name. So I can use these toggle up or down to move my question so that today's date is captured before the observer name. And as you click on, if you want to add another question, either below the observer name or say I want to add another question before observer name. If you click on the question that you have added, the add new context menu will come up and then you can add some more information from there. So let's just say we want to know, I want a choice field and I want to know, was there precipitation in the morning? So hopefully I can spell precipitation right. And I can just say yes, or I can, and the other nice thing about Microsoft 365, it's always learning that AI is in the background. So it says, hey, you wanted a yes, no. So instead of me having to type no, it's guessed for me. Do you want to add no? Well, thank you. That's great. Let me add that. So now I just have a quick, it was a precipitation in AM question. I can allow for multiple answers. So let's just add another question here. We're going to say choice, and we're going to say weather conditions.
Sherry, you're making me very hungry to see the final form.
I'm getting there. So we have sunny and we have cloudy. So I can click this, allow multiple answers here, and that'll allow them to choose. Well, obviously, if it's sunny or cloudy, it's got to be either or. But say it was sunny, say it was windy, something like that. I'm going to just do a quick preview here so that you guys can see how this form looks. So if someone is filling it out on their computer, this is the format that they will see. And then if I click mobile, another great thing with Microsoft 365, I could actually see how a person on the mobile device can see how this works. So that's quickly how you can easily set up a job, any type of quick Microsoft form. Like I said, I don't want to leave you guys hanging, so I'm going to click here and add another app up here. I'm going to add an existing, and let's go here and let's do collect responses. So now you can see if I'm just going to add ABC project. This is a completed daily report. If it's got a red asterisk, it means that's required. If it's not, then I can skip that. So maybe I don't know the job number. I'm going to stay with the interior. I'm going to do something and do interior fit out. I have a branching option on here that if I select interior or restaurant, it doesn't give me the weather conditions question because it's an interior job. So weather conditions may not impact. I saw great work. I can choose or add how many subcontractors are on site. So you can either have the person type in how many subcontractors were there, or you can just, if you know how many subcontractors are on your site, you can put a multi-select list here. Were there any accidents or unsafe behaviors? I'm going to click yes, just for those of you guys that maybe have a security manager or somebody on, or safety manager, I'm sorry, on the line here. I put a branching here that says that if you've observed a site accident or unsafe observation, upload an incident report to your daily report. So if I click no, I would have just said thank you, for filling out this report. But being though I observed something that was unsafe, I need to make sure that I upload an incident report. So awesome way to kind of put together a great report that's intuitive. It's right here in Teams. You can share it outside of Teams. But again, it didn't take me much to get that completed here. So I'm going to roll back into our presentation here. So bear with me as I make this swap. And so I just took you through the forms. We went through the demo. So now that you got your form all taken care of, what do you do with that data? Like I said, it saves it to Excel. So you can either keep it within that team or move that Excel, make a copy of that Excel to go somewhere else to you know, quickly access it and maybe analyze some of the form results. Talking about you know, doing some analytics on the report basic, like I said, use the out of the box analytics tool that I showed you up front, where it showed you how often somebody was or how many forms were completed, how long it took them. You can just see those insights very easily. Intermediate, use Excel and manipulate and respond to that data. So you got some pretty nifty Excel folks in your organization that can manipulate the data and do some pretty good reports within Excel. You can definitely do that. Or we encourage you to learn a little bit more about Power BI and be able to create some dashboards from that response data. If you're really, really advanced and say you want to utilize workflow, you could do an out of the box form setting, like I said, just to receive notification when the form has been completed. Or we can create a workflow, how I showed you if there was an incident and somebody checked yes. Maybe you want to flag your safety manager or safety representative within your organization that an incident occurred and we report it through a daily report. So you can set up a workflow to email that person if that option has been chosen. Another real world example, we're running a little low on time, so I'm not going to go back in Teams and show this live, but I created a COVID-19 screening form. So if your organization needs to be able to screen members or people that are coming out to the job site or coming within your organization, you can create that form online. Say you set up a Surface or some type of laptop or something or tablet within your organization that has this COVID screening form. You can create this very simply and collect that information for your COVID-19 screenings. The last cool thing I want to show you guys is crisis communications. So during the height of the pandemic, Microsoft worked very closely with some other Microsoft partners and came up with this crisis communications app that gets added into Teams. This is pretty much everything encompassed for COVID-19 tracking. Let me see if I can just share this very quickly here. Give me just a second. I'm sorry that the screen changing is so clunky. So this is crisis communication within the Witham space. This was a Teams that I got added to as a member. So when I come in and click on crisis communications, I see all this unique information that I can find out. If my organization is doing company news, I can click on that app and see some company news information that the company has posted. So maybe this is all around COVID-19, but say there's some posts about some testing or PPE where that's available within the organization. I can come over here and click on FAQ and see basic questions on what should I do if I've become ill. This is all been produced by Microsoft. This has not been produced by Witham. So you can set up a crisis communication center in Teams within your organization that will basically support your COVID-19 efforts or protecting the members of your organization in this pandemic. But it's definitely something that's very, very, very interesting, very cool, because like I said, it was something that just came out the box that, you can tweak it as you need to. But if you have Teams, I encourage you to Google or search on Bing crisis communications and Teams and really see how you can utilize that within your organization. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Adam, and we will take you through a few other presentations here.
Thank you. And you should be seeing my, yep, you're seeing my screen now. Okay, so, and also that was just the crisis communication is a Power App. So you can actually even have that, you could have a form built into that Power App. So it's really interesting. And we called it crisis communication. So also Lou, we had chatted before the webinar, had talked about the hurricanes. So if you're not just in, one specific region and you have, work all across the state or the country or beyond, you might have different scenarios that you can include in that one app. So it's one place on a phone, on a computer, on an iPad that people can go to. So really important. All right, so we'll move into the next piece, which is automating the estimator process. And so just like Sherry did, expanding on it, that starts with a Microsoft team. And so we do believe, Microsoft Teams has evolved to be the hub of teamwork that Microsoft wants it to be. It's just really practical. Just imagine, how you go through work right now, and you go to Outlook all the time. Teams is taking over that. And so, here, that entity of a team is a little weird. Sherry showed you one way that it can be divided, and this is actually a different way that it can be divided, that you have a team dedicated to bidding. So this is generalized, so I apologize, but if you can imagine, I'm guessing that everyone on the call wants to win projects and is bidding on projects. So here, the basic is you have the team itself that you can see. In that team are conversations about the status of those bids. Then it is a central place for files. And also there is a bid tracker list that we are automating on. So I'm just going to talk about the automation first, and then I'll show it to you. What happens here is that a bid is received via email, and once it's received inside Teams, the whole group of estimators can review it and can enter it into that list that I mentioned. Then you fill out the list of information, and automatically, in the simplest, what happens is events are created for the due dates on the people who are assigned roles. And then also they're assigned tasks. So there's a solution I'll show you real quick called Planner that does task management. Might not be sophisticated for actual deployments, but certainly in the bid process, it works perfectly. Then I don't want to overlook it. You can work on your documents simultaneously. So someone had mentioned that they are looking at Office 365. So simple things like being able to look at it on a phone, on an iPad, on a computer, simultaneously and securely, and be able to edit it together really speeds up and saves time on that bidding process. And then once you update the form, the list, if it's a win, it creates a project team. And we'll talk about that. So I'm sure, just like Sherry did a great job, and I'll try to do just the same, you'd rather see that. So we're going to go into Teams. So again, this is actually the same environment that, oh no, actually this one isn't the same environment. I'll show you the same environment in a second for the Power BI. This is a different environment, which has different set of teams. And you'll see I have the bidding team, and then actually I have that project team. But first, in that general channel that is always given, you can see I emailed myself some of the different bids. So each Teams channel does have an email that you can allow external addresses to enter in. And then, as a lead estimator, I'd be notified, or I would see it coming in, and I would be able to then go to my bid tracker. And so my bid tracker is a list. Think of it as an Excel spreadsheet. And I decided to have a view that shows the items that are by status. So I can come quickly into this bid tracker and I can see the different items. And so just for sake of time, I'll come to this item and I will edit it. And you can see that it creates a form. And so this form allows you to put in the different pieces of information. And so I've decided already that I don't want to bid on this because it came in just now. But you can see that I can enter in Sherry's name a few times. That's interesting. I can enter in Lou's name if I want to. And what's going to happen here is if I do that, they're going to receive some notifications that they've been assigned a role into this. So that's really a great item of this. I also, this is editable. So because we're not bidding on this, just like Sherry's form, I have hidden the team members and suppliers. Because we're not bidding on this, it's not going to go into a project, so it doesn't matter. So you can change the form, just like the Microsoft Forms, and you can base automations off of this. So you can see here that it is basically a spreadsheet, Excel, and so I also can edit it in a spreadsheet, or you can open it in SharePoint to do even more items and more work on it. So here, actually, I'll go to a different view that allows me to edit in grid mode. So here you can work quickly and edit every single item rapidly in that list. So that's pretty cool. And then the automation is on the back end. But then other pieces of the process that are really important. So if I come into bidding and then I go into the files, now, the file isn't on Lou's desk, it isn't on Sherry's desk, it is centrally stored in one area. And if you're an estimator, I actually could sync this to my desktop and be able to see those documents and work with them without a problem. Now, I've just given it a random number and the naming structure. You can choose what you'd want to do there, but your documents are all right there. Another major thing here that we've worked with organizations to do is you also store all of your marketing materials, your actual estimating sheets, your actual deliverables, all in this one location. So there's no question about where the right version of the right document is to respond to a bid with. So, that is the structure of your team. And what happens then if we do win a bid? So if I go back to the general, I'll show you the bid tracker. Here we have won a mechanical and electrical job for ABC Co. You know I'm from Washington, D.C. when I love three-letter acronyms. So we've won this mechanical and electrical. And so what automatically happens is a team is created. And so here, the team can have a template. So let's say for all mechanical, electrical jobs, we have these set channels. And so this gives everyone who's, the team members and the suppliers could all, so that's internal and external, can all access this team. And then what's interesting here, you see the lock. This could be internal project management. So if we say that Alana and Lou are our suppliers, Sherry and I can be in this project management channel. We can store our documents, we can have our conversations, all inside of the context of that specific project. And then also we can be collaborating on every step with Lou and Alana. And then what I want to also show you is the planner item that I'd said. So for task management, you're able to use this solution that is included in Microsoft 365 called Planner. It made it very simple of, review the survey, review a diagram underneath electrical and mechanical. You can have a view of when, how long those items are and when they're due. We can look into that task itself. One of the things that I love is you have different steps within it. You can add attachments. If you make comments, it's going to be sent to the people that are attached to that item. You can set the progress, and you can do different reporting. So a lot of great task management, just like Microsoft Forms, very easy to use directly in included in that team, so you know where to look. And however, coming soon to Teams is something called Tasks in Teams, that you'll be able to see all of your tasks in one central location. So that's going to be even better. So again, just to review, what we have is the automation is that the group was notified that an opportunity came in. We were able to fill out the form that I showed you with the appropriate information. I skipped working on the document itself, and then the project team was created. So, you know, in the back end, it's saving time, saving thought, and it's a repeatable process. So also what that means is that people coming into your project can do it the same way over and over again. So moving on, I'll go into dashboards, and I wanted to show you one, which is a demo dashboard, but I like it because it brings up, well, I'll show you two demo dashboards because they're very well done. One is, you know, directly tied to that idea of bidding. So I created, like Sherry, a simple form, but you certainly can have more and more information on it, and then you can use that information and you can display it. How many bids are we getting? How many bids are we deciding to no bid? Is that coming from one specific group? What are the size of them? What is the quality? How much time does it take to close it, to answer it, to win it? So all that information could be based from that one form, which I think is really, really powerful. But even more interesting is to dive into Power BI. And there was a question about, you know, how can Power BI make accounting analytics more effective? I might have thrown in some words in there. So this is actually an operational, not an accounting dashboard. But what I can show you is if I edit this report. So just to remind everybody, what Power BI does is it pulls information. So we see on the far right side, we see tables of information that could be an Excel spreadsheet, could be a database, could be a SharePoint list, multiple different sources of information. We can then relate that data together, and then we can display it. So, you know, where we've done this before is a few leasing organizations that have different banks, and with Power BI, we've taken the data from all of those different banks, put it into one central area for people to review, and then they've saved, I believe it's almost 40 hours of their monthly closing time, because all the data is sitting in one place that someone can take and act on instead of having to go to every single bank and gather the information. And I'm sure I'm skipping some steps in there, but that is one of the ways that it's very helpful. Here you can see also other ways that it's helpful is if I pick, let's see, actually, that's only going from one table. You can see on the right-hand side, it shows that it's only from one table. That's only from one table. All right, a little slow today, but it's showing the different information from the different tables that is put into the visualizations. And then once, you know, we have the visualizations, another way that I believe that it overall makes a lot of different pieces more efficient and effective is that you're able to, especially when you're not in the same room, you're able to cut and slice the data, hopefully before the meeting, to be able to say, Maybe it's by region, maybe it's by product line, maybe it's commercial versus residential. Maybe you want to see the details of a certain customer and how the business is doing there. So all of that data is live and sortable in front of you, so you don't have to go back into those Excel spreadsheets. You don't have to move back and forward. So, you know, some of the major pieces is finding the sources of data. What we work with people on is actually the quality of data, because when it's coming from different systems, sometimes it is not the same, so that you can't actually work. That's not what I meant to do. You can't actually analyze it, so you have to massage it and make sure that it's the same value. But once you do that, you're able to have these live fields. A most common question is the licensing for Power BI. So if you are manipulating Power BI, you need a specific pro license, but then everyone in your organization can be given a free license to view it. So again, you know, Sherry had mentioned the daily report forum. Imagine that you can see at the end of every single day the responses and the overall health of all of your projects on that day. And you could do that because the data behind those forms can be fed into a report, and then you could see long-term how that is tied directly into financials, tying that project number that we didn't know into the project number into accounting or what have you. Will really give you a view of the operational health of your organization. And what's even better about that is that you're interjecting all three of these things into your frontline workers' daily work, so they do not have to personally do something different, and you analyzing it might not have to do anything different either. We're coming up to time, and I see a few questions here. So I see a great question about what would be the best way to create a checklist for preparing tax returns. I'd go to Lou, but my quick response would be to hire Lou and let him do it for you.
Thanks.
What would you say, Lou, for tax returns? I mean, those are yearly. I guess it could be based on the complexity of the entity. What do you think is an answer there? I know it could be a technology question, but I'd let you lead.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Like I track all my tax returns personally, and we have a system that tracks them throughout the firm. But I could easily take my Excel spreadsheet that I use, and I can make it published live, where all the staff, the managers that are assigned to the clients and have their certain responsibilities would be able to check it. You know, I put it on extension for you, and give me status updates of them. That's the nice thing about the Microsoft channels, is you can make it, you know, a live editable type of product there. So that would be one of my suggestions.
Yeah, so I see that the person's putting in some more items. So actually, you know, the forms would probably not be the right place for that. It would more be the lists, and that's what Lou is saying. So you could use a list, or you could use that planner. Again, it would depend on the complexity, but either way, just like Lou was saying, is you'd be able to assign responsibility to people. Maybe it's maybe it's to yourself. Lists is now actually an app to follow up this conversation. Or what we could do is we'll just hit me up and we'll have a deeper conversation after this. But it is a great question.
So Adam, we utilize Power BI for our pipeline and our dashboard reporting. It's fluid. It's updated up to the minute before the call, so you're not emailing stuff all over. You email the marketing department, they make the master changes. And the good thing is you know, just before the call, it's the same time every second week. You click on your phone or you click on the section in the channel, up comes the fluid pipeline, and you can sort it which ways you want. You can see construction leads, manufacturing leads. So I think the channels would be very good for housing backlog information, on projects and the status of them, because again, anybody in the organization can change them and it's live without you having to email it around, adjusting it. And again, the key is really to try to cut down the number of emails. I mean, it's amazing that emails these days, especially during COVID, is becoming, we're talking via emails back and forth. We're encouraging our staff not to use emails for dialogue. Go into the chat room in Teams and use the channels. So we have channels set up for audits and clients, just like our construction clients would have channels set up for jobs. Okay.
Right.
One of my questions though is, so you set up a channel. Let's assume you're doing a major project for Merck, and you give it a job number. The project was awarded to you, and you have your different levels of communication. When you're putting pictures in there, and you're putting the forms in there, and you're putting drawings in there, how long does that stay and last, and how long does the chat and the talking back and forth in that channel last? Because is it considered part of your document retention, like we have? How long does it last? Can you just leave it there and it's there always, or do you have to put it on your network or in the cloud somewhere else?
Certainly you wouldn't want to duplicate it anywhere else. But the answer to that question is it depends on what you're doing. So there are rules that can be applied to your entire organization, or you can apply them to a specific team. So maybe one project is marked a government project and you have to save every single piece of information, I'm going to say for 11 years. And then one's a residential and your internal policy is to save the content for 3 years, you save it for 3 years. So it's manipulatable. So before, I don't want to run too far over, that was a great question, Lou. So someone else is asking about the connection with tasks in Outlook, and I had mentioned tasks in Teams. So tasks in Outlook will show up in tasks in Teams. The tasks in Outlook are personal tasks. They're actually connected to something called To Do, and then they will show up in this new app called Tasks in Teams. And then, we were sort of talking about a follow-on question again about doing tax returns. So if you're an organization, a professional services organization, a construction organization that has clients, one of the suggestions we have, if you're large enough, is that each project, each customer would have a team. And the reason for doing that is because you can collaborate directly with that customer on that team. And then you would save all of their content directly in your environment. And that means you're in control of it. That means they can't delete it without you knowing it. That means you can remove access. And also, as I mentioned on the screen, it allows you to have a private conversation. So just like Lou's question, all of that data, all of that interaction is in one entity, all in the cloud, which makes it available anywhere, anytime at the same security level. So great question, and I hope that helped. There were a few people asking about projects. And then there was someone, and I believe Sherry probably answered it, or asking about SSRS reporting. Certainly, we have experience with that. We have experience across the board with data analytics. We have some data scientists on board, again, from analyzing your back end, building the data structures to the front end, which is Power BI. So happy to work with you on that. Before we close, any other last minute questions? We thank you for staying with us a little bit longer. It's hard to get all this great information, and when it does,
your question slides.
What's that?
Does it have, yeah, that I think has our contact information just in case.
It does. Oh, it does not. Oh, you know what? There is a bonus poll. So we will, if you would like to be contacted directly, we'll launch that poll right now. I think I beat you to it, Alana. And I can change this real quick to put our
And Alana, the recording from today, where can they find that?
Yes, so we're going to send up a follow-up email with the recording and also the slide deck later today or early tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks everyone for attending. I just want to make sure everybody's aware, we're not doing this presentation for any kind of pushy sales pitch or to push Microsoft products whatsoever. It's about something we've used internally and looking to see how you could benefit it, because you already have the software, and we're finding companies really not dedicating the time to truly understand what its capabilities are. It's only going to get better. I know there's some sticky areas. There's no, it's very obvious that that's going to be an issue with any software as it moves up in the production cycle. But we're seeing our benefits from embracing the Microsoft product line.
right, and grabbing the response so we can call you if you'd like to. Fantastic. Well, thank you everyone for saying it. Thanks, Lou. Thanks, Sherry.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Have a
great
Thank
day.
you. Please remember to take a moment to complete the survey. Thanks again.